Hey everyone, welcome back to another recap of Severance. In this episode, tensions rise, secrets unfold, and the characters take bold steps toward freedom. Let's dive into the drama. The episode begins with Helena Egan, who is swimming before walking down a long corridor to meet her father, Lumen CEO James Egan, in a sleek, modern room. James calls it a momentous day, and when Helena asks if he wants to eat, he simply watches as she slowly slices a hard-boiled egg into 6 pieces. She mentions they are dealing with Mr. Bailiff, and James coldly replies, "I wish you'd take them raw," looking at the eggs before leaving. After a brief moment of tension, the scene shifts to Helena, being driven away from the isolated Lumen complex, with the towering Lumen water tower looming in the background. Next, Seth Milchick meets with Miss Huang in a Lumen office. They discuss the Egan bust, which is being awarded to Eustace Huang for completing the Wintertide Fellowship. Milchick tells her that she will soon be transferred to a new assignment in Svalbard, where she'll work on global reforms. He also makes her destroy a ring toss game, symbolizing the sacrifice expected from Wintertide graduates. As Miss Huang smashes the bust, Milchick watches, clearly upset after his recent performance review. Meanwhile, at home, Dylan has an uncomfortable conversation with his wife, Gretchen. She confesses that she kissed his innie at Lumen, leading to a heated argument. Dylan angrily tells her not to follow him to work or use his body to cheat on him. Gretchen looks heartbroken as he storms out, vowing to quit and end his innie's existence. Back at Lumen, Irving returns home to find his dog, Radar, staring at something in another room. Inside, he finds Bert, reading through notes on Lumen's dark history. Bert tells Irving he has never hurt anyone, but admits to driving people to unknown locations. Irving asks if this means something has changed today, but Bert just gives him an ominous look and suggests they go for a car ride. On the job, Dr. Mauer continues to monitor Gemma, who has a Lumen Band-Aid on her head. Drummond is frustrated that a file called Cold Harbor isn't finished. He orders Milchick to get Mark to work on it immediately. Meanwhile, Helly arrives at the empty MDR office and starts investigating. Devon is driving Mark through a snowy landscape. Mark is doubtful about aligning with Coble, but agrees they need her help, even though she hasn't given them much in return. Their conversation is cut short when Milchick calls, but Mark doesn't answer. Helly storms into Milchick's office, demanding to know where Mark is. Milchick brushes off her concern, explaining that Dylan is in charge in Mark's absence. Helly retorts that it's like replacing one person with another, like Coble. Milchick tries to dismiss her, but she reminds him that she's Helena Egan's subordinate and walks out, leaving the door open, despite his orders. Later, in a tense Innie family visitation suite, Gretchen confesses to Dylan's Innie that she's told his outie about the kiss. Dylan's Innie is hurt and confused, but Gretchen explains that she wants to break up to prevent him from quitting. In a moment of desperation, Dylan's Innie proposes to her, offering a paper ring he made at work. Gretchen tearfully leaves, leaving Dylan on his knees, devastated. Back at Lumen, Helly tries to comfort Dylan, reminding him that Gretchen isn't his real wife, and that his outie doesn't treat him right. She points out that it was his choice to turn his back on Irving for an outie woman he doesn't even know. Dylan gets angry and blames Helly for all their current problems, bringing up the fact that no one noticed that Helena had been pretending to be Helly. Helly defends herself, and Dylan storms off. Outside Lumen, Coble finally meets Mark and Devon. Coble insists they are allies now, but Mark doesn't trust her, especially after his brain surgery. They discuss going to the birthing cabin, but Coble warns that it's too dangerous in the daylight. Meanwhile, Helly sneaks into the break room to retrieve directions to Exports Hall, and Dylan decides to quit Lumen for good. Irving and Bert drive together, and Bert reveals that he has no regrets about leaving Lumen. He tells Irving that he never hurt anyone, but now he's left Lumen behind for good. Bert gives Irving a train ticket and tells him that he can never return. Irving, feeling heartbroken but hopeful, boards the train with Radar, saying goodbye to his past. Back at Lumen, Dylan completes his resignation paperwork. Milchick chastises him for quitting, but Dylan stands firm. Later, Milchick is scolded by Drummond for failing to control the situation, especially with the Cold Harbor project in jeopardy. The conversation ends with Milchick snapping at Drummond, accusing him of not doing his part either. Mark finally calls Milchick back, lying at first about being sick. After a pause, Mark admits that he just needed a day off because of personal issues. Milchick agrees to let him return the next day. Meanwhile, at Lumen, Dylan boards the elevator for what might be his final time, and Helly is in the darkened MDR office trying to memorize directions to Exports Hall when Jane Egan appears and confronts her. "You tricked me, my Helly," he says, while Helly reacts with shock and confusion. Finally, Coble sneaks Mark and Devon into the berthing cabin, where Mark's Innie finally remembers something important. She's alive. The episode sets the stage for bigger conflicts to come, with Lumen losing control, characters making tough decisions, and dangerous secrets still lurking. Thanks for watching. See you next time, and don't forget to like and share.